Hello students, welcome back. So let's get started with the AWS Administrator in easy way. So in my previous chapter, I explained about this progression path where I will be teaching you through all the different topics that I have given here. So as a first step in this chapter, we will start from AWS console. And in order to start with AWS console, first you need to understand some very basic terminologies that you have to use while you are starting with AWS. So like the first one here is basic terminology and to know how about the AWS. Then I will be demonstrating you AWS account login, first time user, sign up for free accounts, and then some non-root users and MFA things. So let's get started first with the basic terminology. So when we talk about basic terminology for Amazon Web Services, then the first thing comes is regions and availability zones. So AWS region is a separate geographical location where we can create virtual machines and use the compute network and storage infrastructure which is available from that particular AWS region. So now what does it mean? If we talk about different geographical regions where AWS has their presence, you see here all these different geographical locations. All these orange marked are the ones which are already available to use, and the green color are the one they are actually under progress. So they are declared. These regions are declared by AWS, and soon they will also be operational. So these are different geographical locations where you can see the presence of AWS. And in Great Bharatvarsha here, you see we have two regions in Hyderabad and Mumbai where we can create our Amazon resources and we can start our applications. So further taking one more step, after regions, another important term is AWS availability zone. So now regions, as we see, are geographically separated. So that means one is in India, or maybe one is in Asia, one region is in Europe, in Australia, in Americas, and even also South America, North America, like that. So when we talk about Southeast Asia, where Bharat is situated, if we talk about that only, then every region there are some availability zones. So availability zones are within the regions, and they are also geographically separated, but like not like 1000 or 2000 kilometers, but within the premises of, let's say, 50 kilometers, 60 kilometers, so that if something happens in one uh, availability zone, then at least our resources are available on another availability zone, so that we can have the high availability. So that means if I just elaborate it little further, then AWS availability zone, you see here I have given example for Mumbai Bharat region, and here we have three availability zones, and these three availability zones are also in different locations. For example, let's say one is in Mumbai Worli, one is in Mumbai Thane, and one is in south of Mumbai, for example. So different geographically, still they are in the range of 30 to 50 kilometers from each other, and they are interconnected to each other with multiple ISP connections. So like, let's say if there is Airtel, there is Tata, Reliance, or there can be more than two internet connections which are connecting them to each other, so that if, let's say, our one VM is running here, our one VM is running here, our database is running here, then still the copies are uh, you know synced to other availability zones, so that we always have high availability or a backup copy of our systems. And each of these availability zones have certain naming convention, and if we talk about Mumbai region naming convention, then it is called as AS South 1A, B, and C. So that is Asia South region, and then availability zone is 1A, 1B, 1C. These naming conventions you will also get to know when we will be creating the EC2 instances. So in my coming chapters, I will be explaining about it, how do we create EC2 instance and how do we see that what region we are selecting our resource, like for example EC2 instance. So this, now let's say if we want to see actual statistics of regions and availability zones on Amazon website itself, then let me just bring up my Google here. So let's go to just Google, and we say here AWS regions, and let's go to global infrastructure regions and AGs. So here if we go to overview, You will see here, this is the latest up to date statistics of Amazon. So you see here there are 33 launched regions, each with multiple availability zones that I just explained. There are 105 availability zones across all the 33 regions, and there are 600 plus points of presence and 13 regional edge caches. So these terms are still new to you, and we will cover these in my further coming topics and chapters. But for now, so this was just a starting point where today we covered about regions and AGs, and more details you can always find here aws.amazon.com and about AWS Global Infrastructure. So here you will find more concrete or granular level details. To locate regions and AGs, you can go here and click these tabs. So like, let's say this is North America, South America, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia Pacific, Australia and New Zealand. In my example I covered Asia, so if you go to Asia Pacific, you see here. If you go to India, then in India there are two, so and here it is showing Mumbai. So that was launched for the first time in 2016, and it has availability zones 3, and it has 2 local zones. Local zones I'll be covering in the coming chapters. So this was a brief overview about regions and AZs. Next we will be covering more on local zones, wavelength zones and AWS regional services. So stay tuned for this, and thank you very much for attending this chapter. If you like it, please do like and subscribe my channel, and see you in my next chapter.